what do you make of them so far in their makeup, and then how much do you think they will contribute to the game?
Okay, so usually the board is appointed by the FA and the clubs. So once they appointed us and we had the first meeting 3 days after, I said to them, I mean, we are in a global world where gender equality is a major issue. Mm-hmm. We can't, even though this is a we're talking about Sierra Leone football, men's football, but we should bring women in who are capable or who love the sport. And then in the meeting, we were told that, look, the board is yours. Do as much as you could. So I was quite excited because, I mean, as a human rights activist myself, gender equality is something that is up on my radar.
Right.
So there were two things we tried to avoid in that appointment. One was to avoid recycling women. Mm-hmm. So we looked at, a couple of names. Some of them have been around for a while with a lot of experiences, but they are also caught in the political divide of the SLFA football. So we decided that, okay, we'll look for fresh faces. We'll look for new women, ladies who will be excited about it. We approached them, and they're people who love football. These are people who, if you watch on their Facebook walls, they are always commenting on football one way or another. So it kind of made it very easier for us because we know them and they were also willing to serve. And I think with a great number of women, we'll be able to solve some of those issues that the men would not be able to solve.
Right. Right. Yeah, that's amazing, and like I say again, I commend you and the rest of the board for such a great appointment. Now moving on to lifting football in Sierra Leone, like you said in the beginning, you and everyone else out there have been very disappointed with the state of football in the country. Now, between the FA, the stakeholders, and the citizens of the nation, and of course the rest of the world, we're happy that we have something in place now that sooner or later we'll start seeing the resumption of regular league play in the country. Would you mind to elaborate what's your timetable, and also hold on. Let me hold that for a minute. Let me hold on to that for a minute. First of all, I also noticed on one of the press releases that came out that have been the teams have been given a mandate, or you guys have mandate given them. In other words, being issue is I won't call it an ultimatum, but again, it might be an ultimatum, or it is an ultimatum that every team should have a structure in place. Not just a structure in place with an executive, but also that they have to honor the labor laws of the country as well, which is a significant milestone because obviously a lot of times in the past for sure, many of these teams operated without, paying any kind of heed to structures, to systems. And systems and structures are what makes anything succeed whatsoever. So I would you mind elaborating on those statutes or items that were issued to the clubs to bring them up to speed with the modern system?
Certainly, Lester. The issue is the issues that we talk about are very clear.
Right.
One of them is the fact that it is always just so common that the football clubs have no governance structure. So clubs are owned by individuals or communities, and those who can come forward to manage it are the ones who are managing the football in Sierra Leone.
Right.
So when we took over, one of the things that we spoke about extensively was how to put together, how to put the clubs to begin to respect structures. Mm-hmm. So we had the first meeting with the Premier League club, and I said to them, look, we all want to push this football forward. In the midst of all of these trials, we have to show conscious effort of trying to reform football. Otherwise, people are going to continue to call us hooligans, dropouts, and people who are doing nothing absolutely. And there was a kind of consensus because I guess everybody knows that these are problems. It's not just the fact that they know that these are problems. In 2012, there was a meeting that was held at the Hotel Balmoral. It was organized by FIFA. And in the Hotel Balmoral, there was a declaration after the meeting, which actually talked about clubs getting themselves into structures. So we agreed that we will implement the declaration incrementally.
Okay.
So in essence, we took the first 5. One of them is that all clubs should become corporate entities. Clubs should be legal personal. They should have legal personality on their own.
Right.
They should register as companies. So now, if you see, there is a broader conditionality within this one requirement. For you to register as a company, you have to have an executive, a board. There's also the corporate structures, which the laws of Sierra Leone require.
Amen.
So you just don't walk into the Corporate Affairs Commission and register.
Yes.
So we knew that, but we didn't want to talk about all of the requirements. So we just said, go register as a company, and then you come. And they agreed. That's the first step. The second step was there should be an a verifiable executive. The executive that we can run to, that we know are running the organization. In the past, these clubs have been run by one person, 2 people, And so when they don't have money to put into the clubs, there is a problem. Or when they are not happy about certain decisions, they can just pull off the team. But if you have a very organized executive, you don't just take such decisions.
Yes.
And we agreed also on that. The third aspect was we said to them, you cannot run a club from your pocket. If you want to put money into clubs, you have to put the money into an account.
Yes.
Therefore, we need a verifiable bank account with a commercial bank. Again, that's an agreeable, but also there's a second aspect to that. Because we are in the Premier League club, we're trying to fundraise and give this club some seed money to start.
Yes.
And we don't want to put this money into individuals. We want to put it into an account. And then if you have an account in a commercial bank, there will be 2 or 3 signatures because the corporate account. So now you don't have one person running away with whatever subsidies that will provide for them. And we agreed on that. Now, over the years, FIFA has trained the License A coaches in Sierra Leone. They have no jobs. So we said at the Premier League level, you cannot run a Premier League club if you don't have a License A coach. Every one of you should appoint a License A coach. And we also agreed on that. So those 5 to 6 conditionalities have been agreed upon. Before they register for the league, those ones will have been met. And then we will set another 5 conditionalities, which will ensure that they will meet. I'm sorry, there was a 6th one. The 6th one is that each one of the Premier League clubs should have a junior team, like a
right. Yes.
Because what happened is that there has been, apart from FC Kalam and Ole Rodent, the club which I am, so
right.
All of these teams have no B team. So they just pick the players from every other team. They don't develop the youth system. So now we said it's important for you to have a B team. There will be a feeder program to your team.
Yes.
And we all agree on that. So those 6 conditions have been put in place. We're hoping that in 2-3 months, we'll come back and sit with them and say, look, we want to pay the next tranche of money that we have, but we have to meet A, B, C, D, E, F conditionalities, and we ensure that they meet, and we have to begin to monitor them. Right. So what we're basically trying to do is to ensure that governance of football is done in the proper way.
That is wonderful. That is so refreshing, and I can't say more than what I've said. I mean, because this is what we've been screaming at the top of our lungs for. Some of us out here in the diaspora, who are looking from the outside in and seeing the way systems work, the way structures work, and how that helps to develop anything whatsoever for it to have to make progress. And you have come in and with your board members have been able to preach this, and not just preach it, but actually institute it. This is wonderful, and it's refreshing. It's more than refreshing. That's why I said at the beginning of this interview that I have very strong hopes and belief that you will make a massive difference in lifting football up to the next level. Now, governance, that is one aspect. Now we're going to look at the issue of course, you just talked about the coaches, because obviously one of the key things that we have that I'm very passionate about as an advocate in the sports business is that sport has to be seen not just as an entertainment entity, but also something that contributes to the lives of people health-wise, and also in the country as an economic, what I call it, an economic engine, something that generates jobs, that helps hotels and restaurants stay in business. Because, you know, I will give you a scenario. If Eastern Lions comes to Bow to play Kakwa Rangers, that weekend is a weekend of activities, it's a weekend of festivities, obviously, and which means that hotels and restaurants and sports bars and small, entities around town will benefit from that activity. So on the economic side, what the question I'm trying to drive at basically is, now we've talked about the governance aspect. And I know you're talking about giving seed money to these clubs to help them get up to speed. What are the guarantees or the systems that you guys have set in place to ensure that it's not just those executive members that these teams employ, but that they look at kind of structuring their clubs to where it becomes a business that provides the livelihood of very many people outside of those 2 or 3 or 4 executive members? What are the systems you guys have in place for that?
So here's the thing. One of the things we're talking about with the clubs is that they have to, firstly, they have to get contracts with all of their players.
Right.
So players who are under contract have to be paid. I mean, there are no two ways about it. You can't just enter into contract and not pay the players. And if you don't pay the players for about 90 days, you have to understand that those players are no longer yours. They can move on. So one of the things we're doing, apart from providing the seed money, we're trying to have government, sit down with government to push a policy that will ask corporate bodies to sponsor at least a Premier League team.
Right.
So that you have a kind of constant source of funding coming in for these clubs. Once those clubs are properly managed with a constant source of funding, then I guess half of our problems is solved.
Definitely. Yes. Absolutely. So yeah. So that's a key point. That's a key point right there. Okay. So going from there, because obviously if that is set in place, obviously those clubs will definitely continue to develop and put the necessary bells and whistles in place that would allow them to grow, and also allow them to bring in people that they will employ. Key thing in sports that I also advocate a lot all the time is what we call fan engagement. And fan engagement is where each club has to have that connection to their fan base, and not just to their fan base locally, but nationally and then internationally as well. I don't know, besides the executives that you guys have set in place, but a lot of times your fan engagement comes from your media team. And I don't know what systems are in place right now with each club in the Premier League board as a whole, in terms of improving the media landscape for itself. But that is one big thing that I would love to see implemented, not just on social media, but also the fact that each club, I would expect, to have a visible logo that's identified by a color system, and also a website that they operate that where people can go to besides a Facebook page or a Twitter page, that would basically connect them to what the fans want to see. Having bios about their players, having information about activities that are coming up, not just the games that they're playing, but club activities that they will be engaged in, and be also be able to sell memorabilia, meaning jerseys and other things that their fans can buy. So let me go to the top of the heap, which is the Premier League board itself, which is you and the team on the board. What systems have you guys